will never feel what it felt like to hold a video game for the first time. Not tap it, not download it, not add it to a library you will never actually open. And if you know exactly what I'm talking about, this one's for you. Getting a new PC game in the 90s and early 2000s wasn't a purchase. It was an event. You didn't open an app. You got in a car, you drove to a store, and the moment you walked through those doors, you were hit. Walls, floor to ceiling, massive, oversized cardboard boxes staring back at you. Each one the size of a small country. Each one screaming at you with painted artwork that looked like it belonged in a museum. You would walk through the store slowly. You would pick one up, and immediately you felt it. The weight of it. Not just physical weight, the psychological weight. The promise of an entire world compressed into a cardboard and plastic. That weight meant something. It told you before you'd spent a single second playing, this is going to matter. But the best part, it wasn't even the store. It was the car ride home. 20 minutes, maybe 30 if there was traffic, and you spent every single second of it studying that box like it was a scripture. You read the system requirements twice. You stared at 4 tiny screenshots on the back panel and tried to reverse engineer what the gameplay actually felt like. You read the bullet points. Over 200 hours of gameplay. Fully destructible environments. Revolutionary AI. And you believed every word. Nobody was scrolling reviews. Nobody was watching a 47-minute YouTube analysis. It was just you, the box, and your imagination doing all the work. By the time the car pulled into the driveway, you weren't just excited, you were primed. Cracking the seal on a big box game felt like opening a vault. And what came out of that vault was never just a disc. There were cloth maps. Actual cloth maps of continents you hadn't explored yet. There were keyboard overlays, reference cards, tech trees, faction guides, physical objects that put the complexity of the game into your hands before you loaded a single save file. Somewhere, right now, there's a 35-year-old who still remembers exactly what a specific game's artifact smelled like. The slightly waxy cardboard, the fresh ink. These things weren't just packaging, they were telling you something. This world is real, it deserves your full attention. And it will reward you if you give it. Modern games ship in a case barely bigger than the disc itself. Make it make sense. And then there was the manual, not a QR code that links to a tutorial video. 150 pages, sometimes more, spiral bound, written like the game world was actually real. You had short stories written from the perspective of soldiers who died in the game's lore. You had pages of armor stats with actual flavor text explaining why chainmail was inferior to plate in this specific fictional universe. You had faction breakdowns, bestiary entries, economic models. Before you would press a single button, you had opinions. You had a strategy. You had a favorite character. The manual didn't just explain the game. It made you fall in love with the world before you ever loaded it. And the wildest part? You read it voluntarily. Nobody told you to. Nobody made it mandatory. You just genuinely wanted to know everything. So I wonder, when was the last time a game made you feel that? Here's the part that would destroy a modern gamer. Installing the game took time. You'd pop the disc in, and that drive would spin up like it was preparing for a takeoff. Then you'd watch a progress bar move across a CRT screen at what felt like 1 pixel per minute. No one was frustrated, not even a little, because you were still in the manual, sitting there in your chair, flipping through pages, smelling the fresh ink, building your first playthrough entirely in your head. The game wasn't even running and you were already 3 hours deep. The downtime wasn't an inconvenience, it was the final stage of the ritual. One last gate between you and the world you'd been promised. And when that final prompt appeared, installation complete, press any key to begin, you weren't starting the game. You were finally arriving somewhere you'd already been dreaming about for hours. We traded all of that for instant access. And I get it. Convenience wins, it always wins. But what we actually traded away wasn't just the box, It was the ritual, the anticipation, the process of earning your way into a game before you would even press start. Modern games have onboarding tutorials because there's no manual. They have achievement systems because there's no wait into the purchase. They have battle passes because there's nothing in the box to make you feel like you got something real. The big box era wasn't just a packaging format, it was an entire philosophy about what games were supposed to feel like. And we don't make them like that anymore.